So this is on this side, so I'm going to start on this side. It goes round this tension dial, through that loop, through here. You tie it round this loop here.
Yeah.
So that means that you've got tension on the thread to start. Then you decide how many stitches wide you want it to be. So I'll just do it a small one, just to show you. So you push all of the needles out that you want to use, and if you start with the 0 in the middle and then half each side, okay? And what you start by doing is, it's called E-wrapping, as in a lowercase e. So you're going round, 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 okay? So we go underneath and then over backwards, underneath, over backwards, underneath, over backwards, underneath, over backwards. So we do that on all of them, so that it's looping round each needle. Then make sure this is open and put the thread inside it and close it. Here, now this is ready, in this drawer should be the tools. And you need this tool. And if you just go and open all these up to start with, this is only for the first time, but it just makes sure that it catches the first stitches. Okay? Then this should be on medium tension. 5 is medium. 0 towards 0 is tighter, and towards 10 is looser. So you go across, and this is knitted 1 row of stitches. Okay?
Yeah.
Then you need to make sure they don't come off and push them out again. So this is only for the first 2 rows that you need them out. It's before you put the weights on it. So then we go across again. She's having a tutorial with Alex. And then you need to take a comb, and this comb we're going to hang weights off. These weights, because it pulls down on the knitting. So we need at least 2 of these, and we need to try and get this in the centre of the comb so that it's even weight. So we hook this into the stitches like that. This we need to take out. This can't be under here because it makes a loop, so we need to get that out from under there. The weights hang off like this, and then I'm just going to get this last bit off. Okay, so this is all free, and then we've got the weights hanging from here. It's a good idea to make sure this first stitch is on a hook as well, so that you've got good tension, and any hooks that are missing, you can lift it on like that. Okay? Then we're going to go across, and it starts to knit. You can see that this looks quite loose. That's because of how thin this is, but we can tighten it up and try if we can get it smaller. So you can see it looks tighter here, but it's always going to be this far apart with the needles because of the size of the machine. Okay, so this is how you knit normally. As you go on, these sides get loose, so it's a good idea as you get a bit further down to take the weights off, take the comb off and bring it up to the top, because otherwise it starts to miss stitches when it's looser. Okay. If you want to make holes in it to make a pattern, you can use this by pushing this forward and hooking this over to another one, doesn't matter which one, and say if I do every other one, okay, so this means there's going to be holes where they are. I'm going to show you two different things. If you make sure that they come forward to the same place as the other ones, it will start to knit those stitches again. If you push them right to the back, it won't knit those stitches anymore. So this is an example of laddering on the back there. So now it's started knitting those stitches again, so the hole is only there. Whereas these ones, it's still missing the stitch, so it's going to be like a ladder in your tights. So here you could then move these so you can do holes in the gaps, so then it looks more like mesh.
Yeah.
So this is still laddering because these stitches are at the back, and this one, each time I do it, it brings the needles back in. So here I might take this one, and depending on whether you take the stitch to the left or to the right, it will make a different pattern on the front of the knitting. So I'm always making sure that I bring these forward. So then this looks more like a basket weave with holes in it, whereas this looks like a ladder. And then if I bring this one back to the front here, it starts to knit it back in. So I could choose when I bring them back in. And now all the needles are knitting again. So this bit here is more like a ladder, and these are like pretty holes. So this, it's called fully fashioning when you make the actual shape of the piece. And if you use one prong, it looks quite messy because it's right on the side. So it's better if you use 2 or 3 prongs. And then when you bring these in, this will make a sort of neat shapes where it's going smaller. And you can work out from a pattern how you want this to be shaped. If you want help with that, I can show you with your pattern. Here, this one found it difficult here, so I have to just help that back over the knitting because it wasn't stitched. Did you see that? So it hadn't come all the way over, so I just helped it. So just check that they've fallen off the edge. And each time I do this, when a needle's empty, I push it out of the way, otherwise it'll start stitching again. So that was just on the side there. I could do some kind of pattern in the middle with this, and then rather than have an empty needle there, I could pick up this needle and put it onto, pick up this stitch and put it onto there, and then it stops there from being a hole, but it means I can create the shape that I want. So where have we gone? Here. So I've just done some little examples. You can't really see them so well here, but when you take it off, you'll be able to see more what I mean. So I'm left-handed, so I have the thread on the left. If you're right-handed, start on this side. The first thing we're going to do is take this stitch off here, but because this is going to collapse if I don't do it, I'm just going to slip it round that needle, only for the first one, and it's just holding it up. That's the only reason I'm doing it. I'll slip it off afterwards. So I put 2 stitches on one stitch, then I loop this through and I push it. So basically I've closed the first stitch onto the second stitch. So then I take the second stitch to the third stitch and then I close it onto the third stitch. So I'm basically putting 2 stitches together and making 1 stitch out of them. And it's important not to do this too tight, otherwise it makes the end of the knitting too tight. So we're pushing them on, slip the stitch on. And then you can see here that this bit's closed. This bit's only like this because I'm holding it up. That helps me not do it too tight as well because it stretches it while I'm doing this. And then as I start to do this, I'm going to take the weights off, otherwise it'll pull it too much. And then take the last weight off. So the final stitch, I can snap this off and I'll tie it here so it doesn't fire up, and then I slip it through the loop and then that finishes it off. So it's a bit like a chain stitch. Then this is all closed at the end here. And then you must steam your knitwear, your knitting, after you've done it, because at first it's all curly. Onto the ironing board into the right shape, so when you steam it and then it cools down, it's the right shape of what it should be. Maybe I've done that a bit too tight there, a bit too loose, sorry. So play around with it at this stage, because once you start to iron, it doesn't take very long.
I'm also so confused. And when I went to the jewelry design, he was like, do you have a sketchbook? And I was like,
What?
I just started today and I just
So you're literally designing the jewelry with the jewelry?
No, I have to figure out, they have an idea about jewelry and then I have to get some fabric on it.
Is this for the shows next week?
And I also have to do the stage costume for the next week show.
Okay, so now it's pinned into position. So I'm not touching it, I'm just on top. Then once it's cold, you can unpin it and you can press it some more. This has just stretched it out into about an even shape.
Yeah.